He was young, fearless, and unwavering in his convictions. A man born of Balinese nobility, but forged by the fires of colonial oppression. I Gusti Ngurah Rai was more than just a military leader. He was the embodiment of patriotism and self-sacrifice. His name may be familiar from airports and monuments, but the story behind it is one of profound dedication and ultimate heroism. As Indonesia struggled to free itself from the chains of colonialism, Ngurah Rai emerged as Bali's last line of defense, leading his people into one of the most symbolic final stands in the nation's history. But who was this man? What drove him to sacrifice everything for his homeland? This is not just a biography, it is a journey into the heart of Balinese identity, a story of honor, legacy, and a young man's unwavering belief in a free Indonesia. This episode takes you into the deepest corners of the island's soul, through landscapes scarred by war, and into the mind of a leader whose love for his people outweighed his fear of death. This is the tale of Bali's Lionheart, I Gusti Ngurah Rai. I Gusti Ngurah Rai was born on January 30, 1917, in Karangsari, a serene village nestled in the heart of Badung, Bali. Raised in a noble family of the Balinese aristocracy, young Ngurah Rai was immersed in the spiritual and cultural traditions of his homeland. The values of dharma, loyalty to one's people, and reverence for sacrifice were instilled in him from an early age. Balinese customs were not merely rituals, they were a way of life, a compass for honor and duty. His education began at the Holland's Indische School, where he was introduced to Western methods of learning. But even as he absorbed mathematics, history, and foreign languages, he remained deeply connected to his roots. In the evenings, he would attend temple ceremonies with his family or listen to traditional wayang stories that glorified heroism and selflessness. This duality of modern knowledge and ancient wisdom would later define his approach to leadership. Determined to serve his people beyond ceremonial duty, Ngurah Rai pursued military training. He studied at the military cadet school in Bandung, where he quickly gained a reputation for his intelligence, discipline, and tactical brilliance. He wasn't just a soldier in training, he was a young man awakening to the political currents of his time. Here he encountered other nationalist youths and was exposed to the revolutionary ideas spreading throughout the archipelago. He realized that true service to Bali and Indonesia meant resisting colonialism. His journey continued in Gianyar and Malang, where he trained in artillery and field operations. Wherever he went, he earned admiration, not just for his skill, but for his humility. He wasn't seeking power, he was preparing to answer a call. And that call would come soon. The outbreak of World War II and the arrival of the Japanese in 1942 marked a new chapter in Indonesia's colonial history. The Japanese removed the Dutch from power, but replaced them with a military regime of their own. For many Indonesians, this occupation brought mixed emotions: relief from Dutch rule, but fear under Japanese militarism. However, in the chaos, cracks began to form. And into those cracks, nationalist movements like those of Ngurah Rai emerged. Unlike many who were caught off guard, Ngurah Rai saw the occupation as both a threat and an opportunity. He used the time to strengthen local networks of resistance, recruit loyal men, and expand his understanding of warfare. He communicated discreetly with other Indonesian leaders and studied the Japanese military operations carefully, preparing for the inevitable showdown that would follow the war's end. He remained cautious, knowing that aligning too closely with the Japanese could compromise the independence movement. Yet he used every opportunity, military drills, civic mobilization, intelligence gathering, to lay the groundwork for a post-occupation Indonesia. He watched, he waited, and he prepared. When Japan surrendered in 1945 and Sukarno and Hatta declared Indonesia's independence, Ngurah Rai sprang into action. He returned to Bali and began organizing resistance forces. With limited arms but boundless determination, he established the Shungwanara Battalion, named after a legendary Sundanese prince who overcame betrayal and injustice. The name was symbolic. Ngurah Rai was positioning his battalion as guardians of the Republic and defenders of righteousness. He built alliances with local communities and other nationalist groups, laying the foundation for an organized resistance that would challenge even the best-equipped Dutch forces. He trained his men not just in warfare, but in the ideological spirit of independence. For Ngurah Rai, this wasn't just about military victory, it was about restoring dignity. In the aftermath of independence, the Dutch attempted to reassert control over the Indonesian archipelago. Bali was no exception. Ngurah Rai and his battalion became the vanguard of Bali's armed resistance, operating in rugged terrain with minimal supplies. Using guerrilla warfare tactics, they launched ambushes, sabotaged supply lines, and conducted hit-and-run operations against Dutch patrols. The jungle became their stronghold, local villagers their eyes and ears. Every success became a symbol of hope, and every loss a lesson in resilience. Ngurah Rai's leadership extended beyond tactics. He maintained a strong moral compass, earning respect from both his troops and the local population. He insisted on ethical behavior in warfare and treated prisoners with dignity, reinforcing the ideological foundation of the revolution. This was a fight for justice, not vengeance. He faced increasingly brutal retaliation from Dutch forces, who bombed villages and detained suspected rebels. Yet, Ngurah Rai remained undeterred. He knew that surrender meant the erasure of Bali's soul. He believed the struggle for Indonesia's future was sacred. Even as Dutch reinforcements poured into Bali, Ngurah Rai refused to abandon the cause. His communications with Java and other islands showed his vision for a united Indonesia, where no region, not even one as geographically distinct as Bali, would be left behind in the fight for sovereignty. His men idolized him, his enemies feared him, but most of all, his people trusted him. The year was 1946. Dutch forces intensified their campaigns across Bali, pressing hard on revolutionary strongholds. Surrounded in the village of Marga, Tabanan, Ngurah Rai faced a fateful decision. The Dutch demanded surrender. Many would have capitulated, but not Ngurah Rai. He made his choice, guided by the Balinese tradition of Puputan, a sacred act of total resistance, choosing death over dishonor. On November 20th, 1946, he led 96 men into the final battle. They attacked with everything they had, knowing full well it was a one-way march. The Dutch were stunned by the ferocity and commitment of the assault. Though hopelessly outgunned, the Siungwanara battalion fought until the last man fell. Ngurah Rai was killed in combat, his body found surrounded by his fallen comrades. This was not just a military defeat. It was a statement, a declaration to the world that Bali would rather die on its feet than live on its knees. The Puputan Margarana became a powerful symbol of Indonesian resistance, echoing across the islands. In the aftermath, the Dutch began to understand that the spirit of independence could not be extinguished with force. The story of the Puputan spread across the archipelago and into the hearts of Indonesians everywhere. It became a call to arms, a call to remember. I Gusti Ngurah Rai's death marked the end of physical resistance in Bali, but the beginning of an enduring legacy. Across the Indonesian archipelago, his bravery ignited a renewed sense of purpose. His name became synonymous with sacrifice, patriotism, and the price of freedom. In 1975, the Indonesian government declared him a national hero of Indonesia. His image was etched into the nation's collective memory. Roads, schools, monuments, and even the Bali International Airport now bear his name. Ngurah Rai International Airport serves as a gateway not just to Bali, but to his story. Every year, ceremonies are held to honor his sacrifice. Veterans, students, and government officials pay tribute to the man who gave everything. His grave at Margarana has become a pilgrimage site, a solemn reminder of the lengths one man went to protect his homeland. Ngurah Rai remains a model for leadership, integrity, and moral courage. He taught a nation that the true strength of a people lies not in the size of its army, but in the will of its heart. His final stand continues to inspire generations of Indonesians, reminding them that liberty is not granted, but earned. His story is told in classrooms and commemorated in monuments, but it lives most vividly in the unyielding spirit of the Indonesian people. His sacrifice is a thread in the vast tapestry of the Republic, a thread that refuses to fade. Today, travelers walk through Ngurah Rai International Airport unaware of the blood-soaked soil beneath their feet. Yet every corner of that island whispers his name. Every wave that touches Bali's shores carries the spirit of his sacrifice. I Gusti Ngurah Rai chose death not because he wanted to die, but because he wanted his people to live free. He believed that independence was worth any cost. And in giving his life, he gave Indonesia something priceless, a symbol of unbreakable resolve. This is more than a tale of war. This is the legend of a young Balinese noble who turned into a warrior, who turned into a martyr, who turned into a national hero. This is the story of I Gusti Ngurah Rai, the fearless flame of Bali's resistance and a timeless symbol of Indonesia's fight for freedom. If you enjoyed this chapter, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next chapter.